So today I am doing a video on how I film my rides. This is not a video that anyone has asked for, and you may not even like it. It may not even be interesting, but it might be, who knows. A lot of people have asked lots of individual little questions around how I film stuff, how I put the rides together and all that sort of stuff, and I thought, you know what, maybe it's an interesting video. So this is a very, very high level, very brief, but end-to-end version of how I film my rides. Okay, so primary recording device is obviously the GoPro sitting on the front of the helmet. There is no battery inside this GoPro. The battery is a nice big external battery, sits inside my jacket. Because there's no battery inside the GoPro, it means it runs a lot cooler, and also it's less weight on the front of your helmet. The advantage there is that obviously I can leave it turned on and then just press the button to start recording when I want to record. It makes it a lot faster, make sure it lasts all day long. So the other part of that equation is obviously the audio. So there is you can see there's the cable hanging out the back of that. Now this microphone plugs in to the back of the media mod, and that is the 20 centimeter version of the microphones that we now sell. And this is a product that I've developed. It's got a stereo 3.5mm jack on one end, and then a nice little microphone that sits inside your helmet. We've got a removable sticker on the inside, so you just basically plug that onto the inside of the helmet, and it's got a bit of a wind sock on the front there, and you can get that in 10, 15 or 20 centimeter versions, about 20 bucks on our website, so you can get those now. The second camera that I run is this GoPro sitting on my shoulder strap on my backpack, and the way I use that is I've got my backpack here. I've got a quad lock mount on the strap, and that just attaches onto there, and that means that while I'm riding along very easily, very quickly, that are more than just my point of view. It's a really basic mount, but it works brilliantly and it doesn't fall off. Number 3 is my drone. So they're my primary. So I'm getting point of view, getting ambient, and then obviously setting the scenes with the drone. It's my Air 2S, and it packs down nice and small and fits easily in my backpack. And probably the only other primary absolute must-have thing that I'm carrying with me is my SD card case. Keeping my SD cards locked away in there, nice and safe away from the weather. So I don't take a laptop or anything with me. I just essentially swap out the SD cards at the end of the day. Now the other things I throw in there is my little Neo. This is great for just little bits of extra pieces. Now the other thing I'm shooting with is the SLR that goes in my backpack, which you're currently watching on. It's sitting on my Ronin gimbal, which I take if I'm going somewhere where there's a car. Otherwise it's too heavy and too bulky. At the pub scene, that was using that setup, and it was brilliant. When I can't fit it in, I stole this off my wife. She wasn't using it, so she bought it for work. It's the DJI Osmo Mobile. So I just put my mobile phone in that, right? So they're recording the vision, and then this little audio recorder is recording the audio. In fact, that's exactly what I'm recording on right now. And ordinarily I'd have it a lot closer to me, and sometimes I often go for a lav mic and hook it on. I prefer that over any wireless stuff. I just find wireless means more batteries, more charging, and I just don't have time for charging enough things as it is. I want to add more to it. During the day, I'm not really thinking about batteries at all. The drone is the only thing. I got the buy more combo, fly more combo. It comes with the extra batteries. You need at least 3. All right, that's the equipment. The whole point of doing any kind of pre-production, and yeah, I'm using that word kind of very loosely, ensuring that I'm capturing the best parts of wherever we're riding through. But it's also about minimizing the stress and ensuring that I can still enjoy the ride because I'm not thinking about and looking for every single camera opportunity. So number one thing is you start with the route, obviously. So if a tour operator, then hopefully they can share the route with me. And a lot of times that is the case, which is fantastic, makes it a lot easier. Then it's a matter of finding 2 things. One is opportunity for shots, and particularly drone shots is what I'm looking for. And then secondly, what's the stories that are in this area? So I'm doing a bit of research, ChatGPT and so on, just to understand what that region is all about. What's its history? Is there anything that is interesting? And I may not actually film those things and talk about them on the trip, but I'll just remember to get shots that include that stuff. So getting into the route, I download it and put it into Google Earth. And then once it's in there, I can see potential shots that I can get, particularly nice drone shots. And then I go through and just basically plot that out onto the map. And so then I know what to look for. Also means I can work with the tour operator a bit better and say I'm planning to stop here, and then hopefully not surprise them by jumping out of the bushes.
The shit out of me, man. I thought you were a yowie.
So the main thing I'm looking for is places that I can stop. And even, once I've kind of worked out a couple of good shots, I'll then even look into the satellite view of the map to be able to see is there a spot that I can actually pull over and stop easily, and then mark all those out on the map, and then we're right to start the ride. So on the ride itself, it's actually pretty straightforward. I just try to be ahead of everyone else when we're leaving, and then I'll be the last person coming in at the end. If I'm going to get a drone shot first up, I'll actually leave about half an hour earlier before everyone, get myself set up, and then so when everyone comes through, then I can get some shots. So there's multiple stints in a day because you've got breaks through the day like lunch. I'll always aim to be the first person out so I can grab shots of people along the way. Then I'll wait a little bit, probably a good 20 Ks into that stint. Then everyone starts to spread out a bit, because if I pull over early, then everyone goes past and then I've got the one shot of everyone. Whereas if I can let them all spread out a bit, I can stop in multiple times throughout that stint. I'll stop, pull over, grab a couple of shots of a couple of bikes going past, then keep moving, pull up a little bit further up the road, grab some more shots of people going past. If I do a drone shot, it's more time consuming. And so one drone shot is probably worth 20 passing shots. And so therefore I'm looking for things that are really going to set the scene. Flinders Ranges, then we want to see the ranges, but we also want to see the big open spaces as well, because that's what it's all about, is the contrast between those two. There'll be one spot in the day that really shows off that. I'm looking for that one stop where I'm going to get some great shots. And then I just get shots of everyone and try and mix it up as much as possible. But then the next break, then I leapfrog ahead and get in front of everyone and start the process all over again. You can only watch the same point of view for so long. So I always look to mix it up, not just in the shots, but also in the stories that we're telling. Now, another key thing that I do is at each day, at the end of the day, I'll grab all my screenshots so then I can send them to the tour operator. And I use them on my social, they use them on their social and so on. And the other thing is I write a diary. Now, dear diary, I fell over. So it's more about capturing what happened on that day. What are the key things that you might want to include in the video? And the reason I do that is because I don't want to watch 10 hours of footage when I get home. You're not going to know what's going to play out. You don't know what the story is going to be. So writing down at the end of each day what happened just helps flush that out a bit more. And it might be a couple of weeks before you even start looking at the footage again. And by then, I can't remember what I had for breakfast. And then we go into post-production. So let's talk about editing. Now, what I'm about to say, you're probably just going to go, that's going too far for me. But trust me, this is my number one thing. As soon as I get in front of the computer is I open up a Word doc and I write a script. Now, it doesn't need to be word for word putting in the video. I want to make sure this is right and it's structured nicely. So I do write the actual words that I'm going to say for the voiceover. I'm going through kind of hand in hand, going through the footage as well at the same time and looking to see what's there, what I've said on the day, and then combining that with what end up in the script. It helps me flush out what the story is that we're actually trying to tell. Then I edit to that script. And so therefore, again, I'm not going through 10 hours of footage. I'm just grabbing out the bits and pieces that I need to tell the story. You'd be surprised just in that process of writing that script, you realize sort of there's a lot there, doesn't need to be there. There's also missing things. So a lot of times I'm trying to tell a story of a particular place that we're riding through. And then I realize I don't know anything about this place. So then I use, the internet to do some research and find out what I'm missing. What's the missing part of this story that's going to make it interesting? So I throw all my footage onto a timeline, kind of telling the story I want to tell, while at the same time I'm writing out the voiceover script. So I do find that as I'm going through it, I'll always, inevitably, at some stage when I'm going through the video, I'll go, this is shit. I'll go through it and go, this is boring, this doesn't mean anything. And then you add the music, and you add all these layers and so on, and then the drone shots and so on, and suddenly it starts to all come together. So if you're halfway into putting your footage together and you go, this shit, then keep going and just keep layering on top of it. Eventually it'll come out looking pretty good. But I do find I always have that moment of going, this is shit. Interviews really work at telling their story, their version of the event, which I think is really, really important, really adds to it. So always remember to grab that stuff, when you're recording someone. And when you interview someone, don't ask them what they did, ask them how they felt when they did it, or why they're doing it. It makes a big, big difference to the answer you get back. And then last but not least, the last thing I do is, particularly now that I'm adding 5.1 surround sound, I know, it's nerdy, but I then watch it on the big screen. So I export it, put it up into YouTube as an unlisted. It shows up any imperfections in the shot, just if I've got the color wrong, or if it's too dark, too bright, to whatever. But more importantly, the audio. Can I hear it properly? Can I hear what someone's saying? Do I need to add subtitles? If I've got me talking, microphone's really close, and then someone else talking, the microphone's far away, I just cut those and then normalize across all those audio clips. It's really important to pump up their volume so you can hear it. And of course I have to watch it on my 5.1 surround sound, because then I can hear anyway, that's the video that no one asked for. And but if you found it interesting, you got to this point, then I'm hoping you got something out of it, or were at least entertained somewhat during it. Don't forget to check out our website, motorides.com.au, if you're looking for tours, you're looking for cool t-shirts like this one, or you're looking for places to go riding, or you want to share your ride. We've now got a new chat feature, which is, chat's the wrong word for what it describes it as, but it's kind of like a social media for adventure riders, and it's built in there. If you don't like Facebook, then you might like this. Anyway, jump on to motorides.com.au. Thanks guys, see you out there.